Two of the NFL's most successful head coaches renew a friendship and a rivalry at Denver's Mile High Stadium. The Broncos' Dan Reeves and the Raiders' Tom Flores exchange some pleasantries before their respective teams prepare to do battle on the season's opening Sunday. And battle they no doubt will. Bronco fans are not particularly fond of the men from Los Angeles who strut their stuff in silver and black. They remember well that a year ago, 2 Denver defeats at the hands of the Raiders, both in overtime, cost the Broncos not only the AFC West Championship, but a wild card playoff berth as well. These Raiders are not welcome guests at Mile High. One man who is welcome and revered is Denver quarterback John Elway. The fourth-year quarterback is ready to take his place among the league's best and to take his team to the Super Bowl, where many feel the Broncos should end the season. The last 6 games between Denver and the Raiders have been decided by 3 points or less. It's safe to assume this one will have a similar outcome. On the NFL's initial Sunday, it's the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Raiders on the NFL Game of the Week. On Denver's first offensive series from scrimmage, John Elway displayed the poise and discipline that many feel will propel him to the head of the league's quarterback class in 1986. After a quick strike to wide receiver Vance Johnson, Elway used both his arm and his legs to put the Broncos on the scoreboard. This 35-yard floater to Steve Watson, number 81, said a great deal about the maturity of Elway. First of all, it was a 3rd and long situation, a scenario that often confused the young quarterback in the past. Secondly, the touchdown reflected number 7's growing sense of confidence in and around the pocket. And finally, the ball was thrown with just the proper touch, a sure sign that a strong-armed passer has learned what it takes to get the job done. Less than 2 minutes into the game, the Broncos led 7-0, and their defense was not about to let the Raiders bounce back in a hurry. Rulon Jones and company clogged the running lanes. Then third-year defensive end Andre Townsend, number 61, sacked Raider quarterback Mark Wilson to close out Los Angeles' first offensive possession in 3 abrupt plays. But the Raiders can play a little defense as well, and their outstanding front line, here led by Bill Pickel, number 71, engulfed Elway to end Denver's second series. Midway through the opening quarter, Denver made the contest's first mistake, and it would ultimately cost them where it hurts the most, on the scoreboard. Number 47, Gerald Wilhite, fielded this punt deep in Denver territory, but could not hold on to the ball when hit. Los Angeles recovered the fumble, and 3 plays later, the Raiders were in the end zone, courtesy of the AFC's finest all-around back, Marcus Allen. The 24-yard touchdown reception was vintage Allen. Another look shows that he circled out of the backfield, matched against a linebacker. But that's not a matchup, it's a mismatch, and Allen sprinted untouched into the end zone. The Raiders had rebounded quickly and dramatically. Yet it was only the beginning of a game that would shift many more times before it was over. Raider quarterback Mark Wilson has not yet demonstrated that he possesses the talent or the promise of a John Elway. But against Denver's stingy bend but don't break defense, number 6 was at his best, both bending and breaking one of the NFL's most sophisticated units. This perfectly thrown pass to wide receiver Dokie Williams, number 85, was good for 53 yards and put the Raiders at the Denver's 16-yard line. Historically, this has been where the Broncos dig in defensively, teasing the offense but rarely allowing them to reach the end zone. Over the last 10 seasons, Denver has given up the fewest points in all of professional football, a tribute to their quality and consistency. This time, however, they could not prevent Wilson from hitting Los Angeles tight end Todd Christensen, number 46, for the score, and a 14-7 Raiders lead. The Raiders had taken charge late in the first quarter, and they continued to build their advantage on this play, which the officials ruled a safety. The safety and the field goal on the first play of the second period increased the Raiders' margin to 12, and it appeared once again that Marcus Allen and mates would continue to stymie the Broncos. But this year, Denver has a newer, better model of a familiar and well-known quarterback. John Elway is no longer the tentative, indecisive young man of seasons past, when his body was battered and his ego bruised. Now, in his fourth season, Elway is more relaxed and confident he can bring Denver back from behind. Against the Raiders, he proceeded to do just that. Elway coolly directed the Broncos on a drive that featured 3 important completions, and then on a crucial 3rd down and 5 play from the Los Angeles 17, the Broncos delved deep into their playbook and plucked out this refreshing bit of razzle-dazzle. Elway's first reception ever in any organized football game was good for a touchdown, and the Broncos had quickly cut the Raiders' lead to 19-14. The touchdown was the game's biggest up to that point, for the Broncos, 12 points down, were in possible position to be blown out by their AFC West rivals. Elway's catch did not overshadow the fine pass by running back Steve Sewell, who waited until just the right moment to loft the ball to a wide-open Elway, whose outstanding speed for a quarterback finished the job. This battle was now heating up, and it was only early in the second quarter. Few expected that 33 points would have been scored this early in a game between 2 of the NFL's finest defensive units. The Broncos had not been able to generate much of a pass rush against Wilson throughout the first half, and the Raider quarterback continued to throw effectively, making excellent use of his 2 top pass catchers, running back Marcus Allen and tight end Todd Christensen. Allen was on his way to a 100-yard receiving game, again displaying the versatility that separates him from almost all of the league's other backs. And Christensen continued to make the tough 3rd down catch over the middle, sustaining yet another Raider drive that might otherwise have stalled. But this drive did stall, and the Raiders had to settle for the field goal, a 42-yarder by Chris Barr that increased their lead to 22-14. Midway through the second period, the Raiders had maintained control. Denver, however, was clearly not going to surrender in this battle of titans. There was much time to be played and much action to follow. The Broncos still had a lot to say. Having shown his aptitude in pass receiving to everyone's satisfaction, John Elway returned to throwing the football, a skill in which he has obvious talent. After connecting with touchdown buddy Steve Sewell, Elway then exhibited his scrambling abilities by escaping some rampaging Raiders and finding Vance Johnson for the biggest gain on another Denver scoring drive. The key play of the march, however, came just before halftime when a pass incompletion, which had been intended for Clarence Kay, became a 20-yard gain, thanks to the little yellow flag. The referees ruled that safety Stacy Turan had interfered with Kay, and despite noisy protests from the silver and black, the penalty stood, making it quite easy for number 33 fullback Gene Lang to score Denver's third touchdown of the game. The Raiders' once substantial lead had shrunk to a single point as the teams took their halftime break. But as the third quarter began, LA showed it was quite intent on padding their margin. Kick returner Stephon Adams, number 44, got matters off to a rousing start with a run back of 51 yards. Then Broncos nemesis Marcus Allen almost single-handedly moved the ball to another score. Allen set an NFL record in this game by posting his 10th consecutive 100-yard rushing performance, capping this particular drive with his second touchdown of the afternoon. With Allen's plunge, the Raider lead was back up to 8, yet would stay there only temporarily. Not only did the Denver defense hold its ground, it tilted it into an uphill trail for the Raiders. Allen was about to run into an orange buzzsaw that would keep him under wraps for the rest of the third quarter. When fullback Frank Hawkins, number 27, tried his luck, the results were just about the same. Finally, the orange brick wall turned larcenous. The defense separated Allen from the football, and the result was the first of several key turnovers that ultimately cost the Raiders the ballgame. No whistle had blown, and linebacker Ken Woodard, number 52, the man with the best hearing and the keenest instincts in Mile High Stadium, picked up the loose football and dashed 12 yards for the score. A second look at the play shows that both Woodard and safety Tony Lilly, number 22, combined to mastermind the mugging of Marcus. When the shrill tweet of the ref's whistle failed to be heard, that was Woodard's silent cue to pick up the ball and take it in. With more than half of the third period still to play, the whistle that never was, and the heads-up play of Ken Woodard brought Denver back to within a single point of their division rivals. Many observers have pointed to Mark Wilson as the weak link of the Raiders' attack, but you'd never know it from Wilson's performance against the Broncos on opening day. Mark piled up nearly 350 yards, no interceptions, and 3 touchdowns, including this 57-yard bomb to first-year wideout Rod Barksdale, number 88. This was only Barksdale's second reception in his pro career, and it put the Raiders back on top by 8. But this would prove to be LA's last scoring play of the game. From here on in, the Denver defense slammed the door on all further Raider drives. The Broncos did not allow a first down for a 12-minute span, while sending the Silver and Black on a backward course. While Rulon Jones and friends held LA scoreless, Denver chipped away at the lead. First kicker Rich Carlos blasted home a 51-yard field goal to begin the fourth quarter, setting the stage for another big Denver special teams play a moment later. Carlos booted the kickoff to renowned Raider rookie Napoleon McCallum, number 34. Napoleon is the first member of the Service Academy allowed to play football while serving his tour of duty. But Ensign McCallum and the Raiders began to take on water rather quickly at the end of this otherwise impressive kickoff return. The costly fumble was yet another turnover that hurt the Raiders. The Los Angeles defense dug in, intent on stopping the Broncos' backs. And for a while, they appeared to be successful. Gerald Wilhite could not turn the corner on number 55, Matt Millen. And Steve Sewell, successful once before with his passing arm, was not quite as fortunate the second time around. But then Elway took charge with quick tosses to both backs that enabled Denver to climb out of a third and long situation and get to within a few yards of the go-ahead touchdown. Steve Sewell's struggle proved worthwhile as a piling-on penalty against LA tacked on extra yards. From there, Elway spotted Gene Lang, and suddenly Denver had its first lead since the opening minutes of the game. Lang's catch was good for his second score of the game, coming on a circle pattern out of the backfield, which he broke to the left without much resistance. Elway's dart was true, and Denver had the lead. This would have been a thrilling storybook finish if only seconds remained and the gun was about to sound. But such was hardly the case. Nearly 10 minutes were still on the clock, and any Denver victory celebration was premature. The Broncos had struggled long and hard to claw back on top, but knew their slender lead would not be safe unless they could put the shackles on Marcus Allen. That was something they weren't quite able to do. In addition to his 100 yards rushing, Allen also hit the century mark in receiving yardage. But adding to those totals would be difficult without the ball, which was coughed up when number 85, Dokie Williams, lost control after a reception. Safety Dennis Smith, number 49, pounced on the ball. The third critical turnover of the half recovered by Denver. The Raiders were proving to be their own worst enemy. Even in this highest scoring affair of any Raiders-Broncos game ever played, the Silver and Black continued to hurt themselves. When they finally got the ball back late in the game, not even some well-executed razzle-dazzle could save them. Allen's run off the lateral moved the ball close to midfield. But then Rulon Jones ended the Raiders' last charge with a final bear hug on Mark Wilson. Time expired, and the Broncos had atoned for their two heartbreaking defeats of 1985 against Los Angeles. In a long line of great games between these two clubs, the guns sounded on yet another close contest. After failing twice in overtime a year ago, the Broncos were able to win this one in regulation, getting a big jump on their AFC West competition. One game does not a season make, but with this victory, the Denver Broncos spirits are at about the same altitude as the city in which they play.